Every great home begins with a strong foundation. Before anything can rise, the ground must be carefully prepared. In this 7th chapter, Building a Foundation for the Future, we take you behind the scenes of a critical phase, a phase where heavy equipment, skilled hands, and sharp minds come together to shape the earth, set the forms, and install the essential systems that will support the home for decades to come. It's a stage defined by precision, coordination, and trust, and sometimes by learning from the unexpected.
I'm out here today on the Genega project site with Fabian Mercado Construction, and they've done a tremendous amount of work on the project. We're in one of the first phases where the building's starting to rise from the grade, from the ground, and they've poured a lot of the retaining walls first as a kind of a phase 1, and they're in mid-forming and mid-stripping of form level. And what I wanted to do was just have Fabian tell us a little bit about where he's at in the process and what he's working on and some of the challenges that he's had. So Fabian, can you just kind of point and tell us?
Absolutely. So our site retaining walls are poured. We're now doing our backfilling and waterproofing, compaction, all those layers that we have to put in. We also ran some site utilities. Currently we've got the form boards and the footings all excavated, where we're now placing our rebar reinforcement. We've done trenching for everything that's going to go under the slab. There's some heating and air duct lines, there's plumbing, there's water lines, gas lines, electrical. So we're getting all that set up. The site's been pretty good to work with. We've had great weather. So that's really, allowed us to advance with this process. We hit a couple of in-ground granite boulders, but we've been able to break some up.
And how big were the boulders that you had?
A couple of them on the most difficult side of the project, which is down the slope. Those were so big we were just hitting the tip of them. On the
truly the tip of the iceberg.
Just the very tip, exactly.
Yeah. So one of the things about this is we anticipated that there might be some granite outcrops buried in the ground, and when we first began the design process on the project, we had our geotechnical engineer come out to the site. They did 4 test borings where they drill down into the ground. They do a analysis of what's under the ground, and they, at about 9 or 10 feet down, they were having the drill bits hit rock. So we knew, as the designers of the project that kind of formed some of our ideas, well, we're going to hit rock at a certain level. We're not going to do certain types of design work. We're going to try to accommodate that. And so some of the design footings that the structural engineer in our office did were anticipating maybe hitting a rock or two, and so far so good.
So far so good.
So far so good. And an interesting little side note, where they did hit that rock, it's on the side of the hill over here. We have a cantilevered deck that's 30 feet out, goes over the side of the hill, 6 foot wide. It's sort of like a gangplank on a pirate ship. And that footing is right on the side of the hill. And when we designed it, we kind of anticipated that if we excavated for the footing, they were going to hit rock, and just about, when we guessed, they hit the rock. Mm-hmm. So we're really happy about that. It worked out terrific. But one of the things to kind of go back to what Fabian was talking about on the forming here, it's a really cracked group. Fabian's got a great concrete subcontractor that's TELUS that's doing all of the work. And there is a little side story that I need to share with you, because we want to share the kind of the good with the bad. That there was a mistake made a few weeks ago, and there was a formed area out here, and just a miscommunication, and concrete was formed. And the good news is that everybody recognized that there was an error made without any hesitation. People make mistakes, fixed it, we're back on track. And we could chalk it up to just a learning experience, whatever it is. But the most important thing, and I want to make a testimonial to Fabian, is that a lot of times when these kinds of things happen, there's a defensiveness, there's a potential for the project to go kind of off track. Fabian stepped right up and said, we want to do a good job, no hesitation, and concrete contract the same way. Everybody's on the same team, and so that's one of the really first little wobbles in the project, and don't expect any more, but you did a great job.
No, I appreciate that very much. Yeah, we want to ensure that the project moves along smoothly. It's also, you know, the foundation for the home. We want to make sure that, you know, from the ground up, we start off correctly.
Yeah.
And we're moving along in that direction.
And we'll see in another episode coming up soon. One of the last things to this part of the project that's really a complicated part of the project, because even though you see forming and boards here, there's going to be passages and pipes and fittings and bolts and all sorts of things that have to go through, under, above, and connect to this foundation that cover multiple trades, from electrical to mechanical to heating and cooling, to even the swimming pool, solar heating that goes on the roof of the house, and gas lines, water lines, sewer lines, septic tank lines. All of these things we've already determined in our plans exactly where they go. Fabian has to now, you know, secure a strategy to make sure that all of those places are accommodated in the concrete before they pour it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a very intricate plan, and unfortunately no one sees it later on because it's all buried and underneath the concrete, but it's pivotal for the whole house.
It is.
It's got radiant heat and a lot of things that you've considered and that we're implementing.
Yeah, this is if you look down here, there's string lines and transits, and these lines are all in our plans. We have lines that say where every wall is and where
angles,
they go, every angle, and the crew is doing a great job of transferring the paper dimensions into the real world. Mm-hmm. It's very satisfying for us to see it rise.
Right, and it does, you know, for people that aren't used to looking at construction job sites, especially maybe the homeowners, the Tenegas, then it really gives them a sense of space now. Now it's really defined. Now they know exactly where the garage is and the front door.
That's right.
The master bedroom. And so visually, I think it helps everyone.
Theoretically, you can look out here and say, now I see where I'm going to have lunch in the patio. Mm-hmm. Or I'm going to look out and you say, oh, that's where I'm going to park my car. It is starting to emerge the project. So
absolutely.
It's very exciting. One of the things we're trying to do out here is make sure that everybody that works on this project gets some recognition in some way. And these guys are working their tail off. And they have been installing all of the footings for the house, putting the formwork in. You've been bending steel, rebar steel, using the jackhammer. I saw you guys using that today. And what is the thing about this project you think you're most proud of so far?
I think we're the most proud of is the fact that detail that this house has, that everything has to be right on, because the amount of detail that includes on the property is just very precise.
And you like that? That's fun for you guys to be able to work on a project where it's really precise.
Especially when the plans have a drawing and you can see how the house is going to look after we're done, because we usually don't come back after.
Right.
Everything is done.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So one question, let's walk over here for 1 second. So these boards, a lot of people don't. Tell us about these boards. What is unique about these boards than, say, this board?
That board functions a little bit stronger instead of this board, because it doesn't warp or bend in the climate changes. Compared to this board, if it gets sunlight, it gets damp, it will start bending, warping.
So this gives you a perfectly straight...
It gives us a perfectly straight dimension of what we need, and it stays that way.
And it's also a green because you can reuse these boards on the next project and save them and keep reusing them over a period of time.
Yes, of course.
Right. And so these are called foundation framing boards. They're especially made for foundations.
Yes, they're forming boards.
Forming boards, right, right. So you've used these multiple times on other projects, and it's a really green, good way to do construction.
And
a lot of people.
They're stronger than regular duct for.
They're laminated.
Yes.
They're laminated, yes. So these are really great. And then the rebar that you're putting in there, what are those? Can we get a little closer look, Luai? What are the little concrete blocks that are down there. What do you call those and why are they there?
Those are called dobies, and the purpose of those.
Dobies?
Dobies.
D-O-B-B-I-E-S.
D-O-B-B-I-E-S.
Okay, right, yes, I know.
Exact.
Right,
The purpose is so concrete can hug underneath the rebar and keep everything more solidified.
it spaces the rebar up
Yes.
off the floor of the dirt.
So the dirt doesn't corrode the rebar during time.
Right, right. And so one of the features to that too is the engineer tells you how thick they want the concrete underneath the rebar, and it's very precise the way you put these in. You have some nails down there where you've taken some ties to hold the rebar in place precisely.
Yes, everything is done as according to plan.
Right.
How much the engineer wants to space out the rebar and how much we have to go away from the wall
Mhm.
and how many bends it needs. And also, the plans indicate what's the structural grade of the rebar, because in different projects you can use different grades of rebar.
So this is
This is a
specified as an ASTM certain strength of the rebar, and when you order it, you have to make sure
it
that
complies.
it complies with that. And it can't be rusty either. The inspector will come out if
It
it's
cannot be rusty or muddy.
or muddy. So if the inspector sees a lot of rust, if it's old rebar with lots, he's going to say you have to get that ground off.
Yeah, we have to clean it with usually a wire brush or a
Right.
wire grinding wheel.
Right, right. So a lot of people don't realize that if it starts rusting inside the cured concrete, it eventually would break the concrete.
Yes, that's why it's important as soon as fast as we can move on and get the concrete poured, it will take the rebar from the elements.
So it's you don't want to leave it laying
we
around
don't
too
want to
long.
leave it a year afterwards and then
Right.
have to take the whole thing apart.
That's right. Now, do you spray any kind of form release agent on the face of the forms at all, or do you leave it just this way?
That's done prior to installing the boards, but this had so many sprays that
Right,
if it rains during the week,
Right.
we don't want to spray it and all the
Right.
oils will
Right.
just fall off the board.
right.
That's why we kind of wait on and see if we have
Okay.
to use it or not.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. All right, well, you guys are doing a really good job. So it looks like you're maybe about half done because you've got to put another board on the inside
Yes.
also for that. And so that's going to be happening maybe next week, I suppose.
Yes, it has. I mean, probably early next week we're gonna start doubling the house.
Okay,
Which is called the stem wall.
the stem wall, you'll be doing the inside board.
Yes, inside board.
Right. So when you're forming this, the idea is you always form the outside board first,
The perimeter.
perimeter board, and then you come back, you put your steel in and get that all corrected, and then you put your inside board.
Yes, we get the stem and
Okay,
the interior
okay.
stem wall done.
Well, thank you for sharing with us, you know, the importance of the work you're doing, and also personally myself, it makes me feel real gratified to hear the construction team saying they like our plans.
Yes.
And that really makes us feel good because we're trying to make it easy for the people like you to install them.
Yes. Right,
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm out at Janega Residence today, and this is an exciting part of the project. We've got the rough framing for the foundation work in, and as a part of that process, we're putting in all of the underground utilities that involve the wastewater drainage for the house, including cold water and also electrical conduits. So we've got the plumbing contractor here who came all the way from Siberia to do this project. I'm just joking, but why don't you introduce yourself and just tell them what you've done and what you're doing on the project.
Yeah, my name is Mike. Mike Star Plumbing Company. I've been doing plumbing for 25 years. What we're doing here, we're doing like nice and clean, and to try to do best we can the plumbing job. So the wastewater, gas, and hydronic floor heating. That's what I used to be doing like for over 10 years on other projects.
So we have a problem. Well, we had plans that we've prepared in close concert with us, as well as our other engineering team and our mechanical engineer. They designed the plumbing system for the house. And we try to do this as detailed of a job as we can to try to minimize conflicts where there might be a pipe going where there's a concrete footing, or a pipe that's blocked by a steel beam or another beam. And it's not to say creative installation can't get through some of those things, but it's a lot of work and it's unnecessary work. And the other thing is, every time you have to make a bend or a joint or put a fitting in, that's a place for something to fail. It could leak, there could be a problem, and we don't want to do that. So we've got today some solutions to a few obstacles, and you're going to show us what we've got.
Yeah, we just go talk about the water line.
Okay.
So that basically waste is placed already. So we got all toilets and whatever, like pictures ready, and you see the pipe sticking out. It's right in the walls.
Okay.
So the basically waste is done.
Do you have the outdoor shower plumbed over there?
Yeah, we plumb outdoor shower.
A stub
ready.
out for
Yeah,
that?
Stub out for that.
Okay. Okay.
And this is going to be like we got on the plan, the floor sink and mechanical room.
Right.
So we install this after like a poured footings.
Right.
Make sure that's level on the floor and not looking like a crazy crooked or something.
Now, a lot of people would look at this plumbing and just describe, why do you have the foam wrapping around the pipe? What is that for?
So that the first that's the code. So you have to rub anything go to the footing. Some like big footings needs to be doing like a sleeve or so.
A sleeve.
That's what's the code.
So it's a form of a sleeve to
Yeah.
protect the pipe.
Protect the pipe from the concrete.
That's right.
Because for some like sometimes you use cold or hot water go through. Make sure it's not squeezed, no noise, not click, nothing.
Right.
That's why we use a foam rub. That section where the concrete goes.
And this pipe is ABS pipe.
ABS.
It's a form of a plastic pipe, and this ABS pipe does have a little coefficient of expansion different than the concrete. So it gives some room for the pipe to expand and contract over the length of the lifetime of the house. And that way the pipe doesn't eventually crack
Right.
or fail. And so this is a fail-safe,
Right.
and it's a good practice. Even if the code wasn't here, you'd probably do it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
Okay,
now we're talking about hot and cold water systems.
So basically this is mechanical room.
Okay.
Tankless water heater,
Right.
and we got basically like radiant for boiler and the tank, whatever in the plant right here.
This is the distribution hub for the whole house right
Whole
here.
house, like
Right.
boiler right here,
Right.
other boiler storage tank. So that's mechanical.
Right.
So what we take cold and hot water going overhead or pick up. There's 3 bathrooms,
Okay.
the laundry.
Okay.
Then we drop them down in the wall right here in the laundry wall.
So we'll go up here,
This up here.
across, in here.
Yeah, this
Now,
section.
we
And
have in this wine room, we have a drop ceiling,
Okay.
and there's some mechanical units right here.
Yep.
And those are going up, and they're going in the interstitial space under the structural
Yeah,
floor.
we try to do.
And there's no very
mini-
little room through here.
Right.
So you're going somewhere up in here,
Yeah.
up in the wall?
Yeah.
Okay.
So then we drop it down at the 3 lines right here. So they're gonna be cold, hot, and return.
Okay.
So because the return has to go all the way back to the water heater or tankless.
Okay.
So and these 3 lines go in the wall and the back wall of the kitchen, the stair wall.
Right.
There, pick up like the kitchen sink, pick up the sink over there. Then from pick up,
Down there and go up
Yeah.
into the island.
then we go pick up that bathroom over there underground too.
So you'll use the stair wall as the distribution to go.
Put the key inside the wall, or so because we can.
to the island and then to the
Then we
owner's
go
suite.
over there.
Okay.
Laying a foundation is about more than concrete and rebar. It's about teamwork, foresight, and the ability to adapt. This phase brought challenges and solutions as the team worked closely together to shape the ground for everything that comes next. With the groundwork nearly complete and the forms in place, we're ready for the next big step. In part 2, coordination deepens as the framer and steel fabricator join the conversation, and the foundation pour brings it all to life.